Kyle Tucker has signed a 4-year, $240 million contract. John Radigan here with Mike Bassick, of course, of the Rangers Sports Network and a former Major League Baseball player himself. It took you 6 or 8 years to make $240 million, didn't it?
It took me in the minor leagues. I don't know if I made $24,000, until I made the major leagues playing minor league baseball. But
240.
Awesome for him. Congratulations. But I know the big topic is really about the game of baseball and where we're at now.
Yeah, it's scary in some ways.
If it's $60 million for kind of a all-star-ish type player.
Right. And so lots of things about it. First of all, he has opt-outs after 2 years. So his average annual value of the contract, AAV as they call it, is $57 million a year, 57.1, I think, which is $6 million more than Juan Soto's AAV. I mean, it just blew the previous record for AAV out of the water. Almost $60 million a year, and he has opt-outs. Now, is anybody going to pay him more than that in 2 years?
I don't think so.
In this day and age, but
I don't know at this point. I don't know is because this is where you have to wonder, is this where the market is going for all-star-ish type players? Which I know we're talking right now about Kyle Tucker, but I look at a guy like Wyatt Langford, who's still developing, still growing. Like, I don't know, 4 years from now when Wyatt Langford's a free agent, if it just keeps growing, it doesn't seem to subtract. If we don't subtract here, we're looking at Wyatt Langford getting like 60 to 70 million a year when he hits free agency. If we just look at the growth, and I get probably other people will say this, and I somewhat agree. Only the Dodgers could give Kyle Tucker, who's a very good player, but not considered a top 10 player in the game, $60 million a year. Because I think if you asked all teams in baseball, maybe I'm wrong, if you asked all teams in baseball, who would you rather have, Juan Soto or Kyle Tucker? I think all 30 teams take Juan Soto.
Of course they would. And in fact, along those lines, the Mets were like, making it public prior to the signing. We're offering him a short-term deal for $50 million a year, which was huge. We're like, wow, they're offering him 50, right? And he says, fine, I got a short-term deal for $57 million a year.
It's amazing, but you look at this offseason, and I was wondering about this offseason because this is the last offseason of this collective bargaining agreement.
Right.
And then you just hear, and I do think you can see certain organizations looking at that. We don't know the future of baseball. We don't know what the new CBA is going to look like. And I think right now, owners have dreams of totally changing the marketplace of baseball. I think they're dreaming too much, but hey, it's a dream and maybe it can come true for those guys. I don't think so, but maybe it can. And so I think some teams are holding off spending. But then you have the Cubs who go out and get Alex Bregman. You have Bo Bichette, who just signed with the Mets after losing Tucker. You have Tucker signing with the Dodgers. You have other signings that you look at this offseason, and you go, wait a second. Like, the spending is going further, not less. And so you start looking and going, maybe this is the marketplace. Like, if I'm an owner and I thought there's no way I'm spending over $40 million on a player unless it's Shohei Ohtani. Now $40 million is a guy that's a borderline all-star.
Okay, and these are shorter term deals. The Bo Bichette deal that you mentioned with the Mets is a 3-year deal for $126 million. That's an average of $42 million a year.
Yeah.
But he has an opt-out after 1 year, kind of like Alex Bregman did with the Red Sox last year. He could opt out after this year. And frankly, Mike, if he has a great year, he might, and see if he can get more than $42 million. Now, next year may be a bad option, a bad thing for that because of the collective bargaining agreement. But who knows?
Guys are betting on themselves. I don't mind it. Pitchers, I think, have to really look at it a different way because of everybody blows out their elbow.
Sure.
You know, as Mike Maddox puts it, and I agree with him, there's guys that have had Tommy John surgery and guys that are going to have Tommy John surgery. That's just the pitching market of today. Is you look at it, though, from a position player standpoint, and yes, there are hamstrings. There's things that can happen, a broken hand hit by pitch type deal. But they're betting on kind of, you know, bringing up this guy's name can bring up a lot of different things, but Trevor Bauer, from baseball perspective, brought up this marketplace and said, I just want to do a whole bunch of short-term deals. He did with the Dodgers, and then his career, obviously, as we know, ended. But this is now what players are doing, and maybe they do look at the NBA a little bit. There is kind of a cap there. And they look at the way LeBron James manipulated markets by just doing very short-term deals. And then Kevin Durant followed and guys like that. I know I'm getting into another sport, but it looks like agents have looked at that, and maybe players have looked at that too and said, hey, as a position player, we are playing into our mid-30s, maybe even a little bit longer than that. So let's just do 2 and 3 year deals, and we only have to worry about not making big money maybe when we get to be 33 or 34, because then teams might slow down on the huge number, wondering if we're about to fall off that
Sure,
cliff.
and to get it while you can is a great idea. And for the owners, there is some security or safety in those shorter term deals, so you don't end up with a bad contract at the end. You know, Albert Pujols, who wasn't horribly terrible at the end, but, you know, he signs a 10-year deal with the Angels, and
he wasn't close to the guy they signed.
He was not close to the guy they signed, and he wasn't worth whatever it was that they were paying him at the end of that deal, right? So you can avoid that of having, you know, 2 or 3 or 4. And heck, the Rangers could still get into that, right? With Corey Seager, they could certainly get into that. And they could theoretically, probably not now with Jacob deGrom, because they've only got 2 more left after this year, I think, right? Yeah. Right. So anyway,
I'm going to throw this at you if you were Ray Davis, since this is Rangers DLL's podcast. Do you look at this and go, I might as well just throw in the tank long-term deals unless I'm trying to lock up a younger player who's not close to free agency? Free agency now is paying for 5 or less years at a super premium price.
Yeah, it's a pretty drastic shift from when Ray Davis, was in the middle of this, right? Corey Seager, Marcus Semien in 1 year, you know, Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi, and I know in those years there were other ancillary players too, the John Grays and that thing. But, you know, 1 year you get deGrom and Eovaldi, the other year before that you got Seager and Semien. I mean, he was right in the middle, and he wasn't having to pay these kinds of contracts, but he was able to stretch them out. Nowadays, you know, short term, 3 years later, 4 years later, here you go. These guys are wanting shorter. I don't know if the players want them, but I think they're realizing the value in them.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to bring up a hypothetical. It's not good, but if I'm Ray Davis, I look at, I believe Bobby Witt Jr., he signed a long-term contract, but he does have an opt-out in there.
Okay.
Let's just say Bobby Witt Jr., 3-4 years from now, there's the opt-out, he opts out. Am I looking at him going, look, I know I'm not going to do long-term, and I get that Ohtani just did, but I'll do 4 years at $80 million a year. Yeah. Like if I want a guy like Bobby Witt Jr., kind of Seager's moved on, he can't play shortstop forever. Am I now going, hey, if in 2030 Bobby Witt Jr. can opt out of his contract, am I looking at 4 years, $320 million? Will he sign here for that? Like, I do think you have to realistically, if you're an owner, start looking at these numbers and going, when these superstars become available that are like better than Kyle Tucker, better than Bo Bichette, better than Alex Bregman, and those are very good players. But when you talk about Bobby Witt Jr.'s or guys like that, when they become free agents, I think Bobby Witt Jr.'s agent is now looking at, you know what? That next contract might be 70 to 85 million a year.
That's unbelievable and not out of the question, obviously, the way that prices are going right now. And with regard to the Ray Davis side of this, so right now, as it stands right now, the Dodgers owe players guaranteed money. They owe members of, you know, that play for them $2.2 billion.
Yeah.
Now, Ray Davis is worth $3.8 billion by the last Forbes estimate and ranked as the 12th richest owner in baseball. So, pretty good, almost top 10. But $3.8 billion. But if you're on the hook for 2.2 and you're only worth 3.8 and everything falls apart, you still got to pay that 2.2. That's 2/3 of your wealth that you're paying to those guys. Now, of course, the team brings in revenue and pays for a lot of that itself. But that's a frightening thought.
It is, and I just wonder this. If Ray Davis is worth, you just mentioned, $3.8 billion.
Yes.
Maybe you need $10 billion to own a team now.
Maybe.
I mean, unless you want to do it, and I don't think Ray Davis wants to do it this way, unless you want to do it like the Athletics way or the Marlins way or the Rockies way, where you're just like, we don't care. We can lose 100 games. I don't care. People are going to come. They're going to pay money because it's a Major League Baseball game. They're going to watch it enough. There's national TV money. I'm going to figure out a way. Because the thing that we'll never see in our lifetime, I don't think, we'll never see how a Major League Baseball team is ran. We don't know how much they make. We don't know how much they lose. We don't know where the major profit is, where it isn't.
No.
We don't know, because when George Bush, president of the United States, said, I'm forgetting the name of it, but they're like, we're going to make you open up your books.
Yeah.
Where they don't have to, or you get steroid testing. All the owners said, get steroid testing in now. We do not want the public to see how Major League Baseball teams are run. So I do think you have to look at it and go, they have to be making money, because usually if you're losing a lot of money, you wouldn't go, we don't want to open up our books, because then it would go, the public would really get on your side going, you're paying all these guys because they're demanding this and you guys are losing billions of dollars. So to me, I see it, but at this point where the money's going, then maybe $3.8 billion is not enough money to own a team.
Shocking. Just shocking that is how rich these people have to be now in order to own a baseball team. And again, there's plenty of guys. The Pirates owner is only worth a little over $1 billion. I think there might be two owners who are worth just under $1 billion.
Wow.
So, but that's it. I mean, they're in the 900s probably.
And you mentioned the Dodgers. I believe they owe $1 billion more than the second place team.
Yeah.
I saw that, and I just can't remember who the second place team was.
I think it was the Mets. The Mets.
Probably the Mets with their longer term contracts. And that was maybe before the Bo Bichette signing. But yeah, it is getting to be a sport where, and I think all sports are, maybe that's one of the reasons Mark Cuban got out.
Sure.
Is he's like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do where we're going with this, where now the premium players are going to get closer to $100 million a year. And I know that we're probably 10 years away from that, but the way it looks, we're maybe 10 years away, and heck, we're probably 5 years away from college football quarterbacks getting $10 million a year.
No kidding. This is like the new NIL, right?
The
Major League Baseball contracts and the NIL. Every year it's different.
And I don't know. I don't take Forbes. I don't know who the multi-billionaires are, if they have any interest in sports. But it does look like, gosh, you need to have a bankroll of maybe $10 billion to do this, to really make the money you want to make. But once again, I'll say this. I have no clue on how much teams really make and how much they possibly lose.
And they don't want you to know, and probably never will. Great discussion. Mike Bacsik, thank you for joining us as always. And we're around all the time to talk sports, and especially baseball with you.